Welcome to the DFS Jags Fantasy Golf Stream. I'm your host, Tony Altieri, talking all things British Open, or as the kids call it, the 2021 Open Championship. On the line with us tonight is the Doctor of Dental Science himself, the DDS of DFS, Dr. Rick Mukherjee. Rick, what's going on, man?
Hey, man, what's up? Thanks for having me.
Yeah, absolutely, man. We're excited to talk about the fourth major of the year. But before we get into all of that, remember, we have to tell the kids at home, whether they're scoring at home or by themselves, make sure you like, subscribe, and comment on the video. If you're interested in any of the things that we're going to talk about tonight, whether it's the content, any of the logic behind what we're doing, the contests you should be entering, or any of the stats that we're going to be covering, make sure you hit us up on Twitter. That's DFS Jags, on Twitter at DFS Jags, or you can email us at dfsjags@gmail.com. Rick, where can the kids find you on the social media?
You can hit me up on Twitter, drop me a DM or a tweet at Riku Mukherjee, or you can hit me up on Instagram, same thing, Riku Mukherjee. Hit me up if you have any questions about lineup construction, anything like that. I'll be happy to answer all your questions.
Absolutely. You can slide into Rick's DMs or hit him up on the gram, as the kids like to say out there. But I'm excited, man. It's the fourth major of the year. You know, it's everything that we come to expect from the British Open. It's firm, fast fairways. It's hip, high fescue. It's shaved greens. It's weather. It's wind. It is the British Open, man. Are you excited this year about what we have and playing the tournament at Royal St. George?
I am pumped. This is probably the most pumped I've been for a major all year, just because we didn't have one last year. So the last one we had was in 2019 at Portrush, with Shane Lowry being the winner. So I love links golf. I think it's the true test of golf, and I like staying up at all hours in the middle of the night watching the tournament. And yeah, I'm pumped. Let's go.
Well, I'm glad we can give you something constructive to do in the middle of the night, because usually you're causing havoc to yourself, whether it's debauchery or drinking or whatever it may be. So I'm glad we can give you some entertainment and give the people some value out there by telling them about how they should be approaching this week and what they should be doing. You talked about it. It's Royal St. George. It's Sandwich, Kent, England. It's all the things that we know about the UK. Par 70, 7,200 yards. Shane Lowry has the benefit, as you mentioned, of not having someone take his place as champion golfer of the year. So here we are 2 years later. We're back in the UK. We're playing on a links course. This is the quintessential links setup. Like I said, massive pot bunkers, fescue all over the place, firm and fast. We're going to need guys that know how to play links golf out here. And I think that's why a lot of people are going to be leaning on Euros this week as compared to the other majors. Where do you see kind of folks building their lineups and starting to look at guys? Where's their value, Rick, when you're looking at the board?
So as far as this tournament goes, it's a little bit different than the other three majors. So in the Masters, you have at the bottom of the board, where you're trying to round out your lineups, you got old guys that are just not gonna win the tournament. And in the PGA, you got PGA professionals. US Open, you got some randos down there. But at this tournament, in the 6K range, at the very bottom of the board, you got real golfers. You have well, we'll get into it later, but you have players that could honestly pop. And this is a tournament where the whole field's wide open. Anyone from the John Rahm at the top to who knows at the bottom could win this tournament. And we've seen old guys win it. We've seen guys that are outside the world ranks of 300, 400 in the world win this tournament before. When Ben Curtis won this at Royal St. George's 2 times ago. So, and then last time was Darren Clark. So it's a true test of golf. Anyone can win it, but yeah, we got to find those values on the board.
Yeah, one of the things you talked about is the fact that it is very random, right? All of the variables that are included when in the British Open that we don't necessarily have to take into consideration for the other majors that we're playing against. One of the big things is the weather and the wind. And it sounds like you've got a pretty good beat on what we should expecting, and maybe some advantages or no advantages to some of the weather splits that a lot of people like to play in DFS.
Yeah, so this is probably the number one tournament of the year where you can get some sort of wave advantage when it comes to when your players tee off, when it comes to the weather. I've been checking the weather all day. We're about a day, 24 hours from when the tournament's going to start. And I'm not really seeing anything right now. It looks pretty calm and normal throughout the whole day. Thursday and Friday. We're getting, looks like about 10 to 15 miles per hour wind all throughout the day. Players are going to be teeing off from 6:30 in the morning till 4 o'clock in the afternoon, and not really seeing an advantage. I'm going to check it again tomorrow. I'm not going to build my lineups till about an hour before lock. That's when if just in case if something pops up weather-wise. But other than that, they've been getting some rain there this week. So the courses, from what I've been hearing, is seeming like it's going to play a little softer than normal. Last time they had the British Open here, when Darren Clark won, the winning score was -5. The weather was pretty bad that week. They had a lot of winds and stuff that week. But if it stays pretty calm this week, I can't see the score being -5 for the winner this week. I'm thinking it's going to be in double digits this week, -10, -11. But this is one of the tougher tracks when it comes to the British Open rotation. So we'll see. We'll see what like you said earlier, like there's so many bumps and stuff in the fairway. Like you can hit a drive right down the middle and it can end up in the fescue or a bunker or something like that. And then all of a sudden you're taking a double bogey on a hole where you should have a birdie chance. So we'll see. But as of right now, no wave advantage for wind or anything like that. The weather looks pretty calm, and we're going to build accordingly.
Yeah, it's important to understand those weather splits, because like we saw in the year that Phil and Stenson kind of ran away from the field, they were in kind of that golden zone in day 1 and day 2, and that advantage that they were able to take advantage of, right? That stayed with them throughout the course of the week. And so you can see things happen in the British Open that they don't happen in the Masters or in the US Open. Another big thing when you're talking about daily fantasy, specifically in majors, is tournament selection. This week, we've got a ton of random people, brand new people to DFS, folks that float in 2 or 3 times a year for these massive tournaments, trying to become a millionaire like you, Rick. I think you won $1 million, or at least close to it. But, this is the kind of tournament where contest selection is so important, right? What kind of tournaments you play, where you place your money, because we don't have endless funds to throw in and build, tons and tons of lineups. So when you're looking at this, is there a strategy for what kind of tournaments you play in these majors?
Yeah, a little bit. So yeah, like you said, this is DraftKings offers a chance to win $1 million for every major, basically, and people that play basketball fantasy or baseball fantasy nowadays or whatever, they see that $1 million top prize and they're just gonna go in and be like, oh, okay, $10 to enter. I'm gonna chuck in 10, 20 lineups and see if I can get lucky. And usually it is won by somebody that gets lucky. So
some random cat, right?
Yeah, some random guy that doesn't know what he's doing.
Nothing's better than hearing the story about one guy who put $10 in and won $100K in a tournament.
Yeah, so I mean, this week, for me personally, I like to limit my exposure a little bit in the Millie Maker. I'm only going to be playing like 20 lineups in the $10 contest. In the $100 contest, I'll be playing like maybe 3 or 4, maybe 5 lineups. And then for me, I really like maxing out the $5 tournament, where you make 150 lineups. So that's where I usually make my bread and butter in trying to win the top prize. $1 million is not the first place prize for that one. It's usually 100K. And I feel like I have a better chance winning that one because obviously I'm maxing it out with 150 lineups. So that's going to give me my best chance to win.
Yeah, absolutely. So we've talked a lot about the course, tournament selection, the way that we're going to approach this week. Let's jump into it, man. Let's go right to the top of the board, above $9,000. We've got Rahm, we've got McIlroy, Koepka, DJ, Xander, all above $10,000. Rick, who do you like this week, and where do you think ownership's kind of going to fall?
So it's looking like everyone's gravitating towards Rahm, Xander, and Brooks this week at the top above 10K. Seems like they're all getting double-digit ownership in the 20% range. Seems like no one's really playing Rory or DJ for obvious reasons. They've both been struggling this year.
Yeah.
Me personally, I'm going to start at the top of the board with Rahm. He's the best player on the planet. He should have won the Memorial. He had to withdraw because of COVID. He won the US Open last week at the Scottish. He basically should have won if he just made a couple more putts, but he's too hot to fade. Like, even though he's going to be highly owned, even though he's going to be the most expensive player on the board, I just can't fade him. I think he's gonna win. I think he has a really good chance to win. Obviously, the odds say it. He's the #1 favorite to win. Besides Rom, I'm going to play Xander. I always play Xander at majors. He's even though he's never won a major, I just think his game is just too good. He has good track record at the Open. The year Molinari won, I think he was in the final group that Sunday, and I think he ended up finishing like third or fourth. But he's one of the best players in the world. He's a world-class player, and I wouldn't be surprised if he gets his breakthrough major victory this week. Besides that, I'm going to make a stand on Brooks. I just don't feel him this week. I'm going to pivot off of him and play DJ instead. Brooks, I listened to his presser today, and he said that after he played in the Travelers a few weeks ago, he didn't touch his clubs until this week. I don't like that. I can't deny his major history. He's literally finished in the top 15 every major.
That and here at the British Open, I think he's got 3 top 10s in the last 4 or 5 years. I mean, he's a stud when it comes to big tournaments.
Yeah, and it's really scary to fade him, but I'm gonna take a stand on him. I'm gonna play DJ instead. He's coming in under 10% ownership, and DJ hasn't won a tournament this year on the PGA Tour, and I think he's due for a win. I know he can turn it on and win any week. His game's been a little off, but I wouldn't be surprised if he won. And if he wins and I'm overweight on him in a GPP contest, I'm looking good. So I'm gonna fade Brooks. I'm gonna play DJ overweight. I'm gonna play Rahm. I'm gonna play Xander. Rory, I'm a little wishy-washy on. I don't know. Obviously, he has a great track record in the Open. I honestly would rather just pay up and play Rahm if I could. But I think
a lot of people are going to utilize that strategy for $400 more. It's like I'm getting the best player in the world.
I wouldn't be opposed, like game theory wise, if you wanted to fade Rahm and drop down to Rory, get some savings and get a lot cheaper ownership. But I just don't think Rory's playing that well. Like he had a win at Quail Hollow this year, but other than that, he's been kind of garbage all year, to be honest with you. Like his irons have just been off. He played terrible last week at the Scottish. I'm just not feeling him. I'll play a little bit of Rory, but nothing overweight or anything. I'll be underweight to him. So, my plays up there: Rahm, DJ, Xander, and Faden Brooks.
Rory, to me, when I think about it, his price at DK versus the odds that you can get him at today, I saw numbers as high as 25, 26 to 1. To me, I'd rather take a stab in the betting market than use him in DFS because there is a wider range of outcomes for Rory, right? We've seen him play well in spots, and we've seen him absolutely be terrible at spots. So knowing which Rory you're going to get has been much harder to figure out this year, just because we're so used to him just like Brooks, contending every single time. And when he's not firing on all cylinders, which has been the case very much this year, it's been difficult. So I could see sprinkling him in from a game theory perspective to try and gain some kind of advantage versus the field and ownership. But I can't see being overweight in somebody like him. The other guy that I really like that you talked about is Dustin Johnson. You go back to the year that Darren Clarke won at this field. DJ's in the final group, right? He's one of the 2 or 3 guys down the stretch.
Yep.
Absolutely died on the back 9. But he's a guy that's familiar with this course. He's had success. You got to think he's going to lean on that. And then you mentioned the fact that this guy has won on tour every year for basically a decade. So the fact that he could go winless this year seems unfathomable because he is the #1 player in the world right now. I don't know how that happened. Rahm finishes 4th as the Scottish Open and he drops out.
It's weird.
It doesn't make any sense. But I think DJ's a nice pivot play as well. I like the logic behind it. And I think you will get an ownership bump. The fact that he's coming in, below 10% is crazy for the #1 player in the world. All right, as we jump down the board a little bit, we get into the sub 10K down to $9,000, headlined by Bryson DeChambeau, probably the most controversial guy in terms of whether or not you'll play him. Spieth, we can talk about that. Justin Thomas, Louis, Colin Morikawa, Victor Hovland, Terrell Hatton. Give me 2 guys you really like, 2 guys that you will absolutely be fading this week, and then we can circle back to Bryson DeChambeau if he's not one of those guys on the side of the board.
All right, so this 9K range is my favorite range on the whole board. I like the chalky guys here. Spieth, obviously, he's going to be the highest owned player on the slate, I think.
My pick, by the way, I have bet him. I've said he is the guy. It just all of the things that he does well, this course is set up for him.
Yeah, and I don't disagree with that. He has a great. He's obviously won the Open. He has an artistry about his game that suits this track just perfectly. And I can't deny the fact that he's going to possibly win this week. So, yeah, he's my number one play here. I'm going to eat the chalk with him. He's looking upwards of 25, maybe even 30% in big field contests where, it's crazy because this time last year he couldn't. I don't think he could hit the side of a barn if you asked him to, but he somehow changed his game around, and now this year in 2021, he is literally gaining strokes in every category, every tournament, and it's undeniable. I have a soft spot for him, so because he was my main play in the GPP I took down earlier this year, so I do have a soft spot for him. So I like playing him. I'm gonna play him. I'm gonna be overweight on him. Besides Spieth, I don't know what I'm going to do. I like Usti. I like JT. If this turns into a wedge fest with calm conditions and soft conditions, then JT's the guy. He's the best wedge player in the world. He played well at the Scottish Open last week. I can't deny that he has been a terrible putter this year. He's been struggling with the putter all year. But putting can flip. Putting's very, very volatile.
Absolutely.
But right next to JT is Louis, and for the first time in a long time, we're getting Louis priced up in a major. He's not.
Yeah, he's priced appropriately. Absolutely.
He's priced appropriately. He's going to be chalky even at that range. I like Usti. Louis. He's the thing with him. The thing that people always rag on him is he's never won on the PGA Tour in North America. Well, you know what? We're not in North America this week. He's won an Open.
Absolutely.
So he does have some win equity here, and he could easily win the Claret Jug. So I'm going to play Spieth. I haven't really made a decision between JT and Usti. They're both the other highest owned players here in this range. So I'm going to have to probably take a stand on one of those, but it's probably going to be Usti, and I'm probably going to play JT. But yeah, besides that, I'm gonna fade Morikawa here. I think that his lack. This is his first time he's playing in an Open. He doesn't have any experience playing links golf. It's a little scary to fade him. What is he, the 4th ranked player in the world? And
yeah, I mean the guy he's with an iron in his hand. He is arguably the best player other than Tiger Woods on the planet.
He's incredible. But I was reading some stuff, and when he played at the Scottish last week, he was saying that he was having a tough time hitting the center of the face club, hitting the center of the face on his golf club with these fairways. So that scared me off a little bit. So I'm going to fade Morikawa. If he beats me, he beats me. Good for him. He'll win his second major. But I'm going to fade him. I'm going to play a little Victor. Victor's he's coming in a little under-owned. But even though this is his first Open experience, he grew up in where did he grow up in? Norway, right?
Yeah, Norway, Holland.
Norway.
One of those Scandinavian countries.
So he's used to playing in overseas courses, link style courses.
He won the BMW here not too long ago either. And I realize it's not a link style course, but it is in Europe.
Yeah. So he unfortunately had to withdraw from the U.S. Open where he had some sand in his eye, but then he came out literally his next tournament overseas and won. So I'm going to play him. I'm going to play him as a pivot in this range. But yeah, those are my guys. If you want to take the lead here on Bryson, you want to talk about him?
Well, I'm just curious. The two guys you did mention were obviously Bryson and Hatton, and they're on opposite sides of the spectrum, right? You've got Hatton, who a lot of people are in on when we talk about links golf. He's won the Alfred Dunhill Championship twice. He's arguably the best link style player on the planet. He's gutty. He does all of the things that you would like here. And so he's going to garner a ton of ownership at 9K. The other guy on the other side of that is Bryson DeChambeau, and people don't know what to do with him, right? Like, if it's the U.S. Open, you know exactly what Bryson does and how he sets up and his approach in how he attacks a golf course. That doesn't bode well if he's trying to use the same recipe here at a link style course. Now, Bryson's a smart guy. He can club down. He can do things differently. But I think the range of potential outcomes for him are much wider than anybody else in this field, right? Spieth, you're like, if Spieth plays like he's been playing, he's going to finish top 30. If he plays like the guy he was when he won the Open, he'll win again. That's just, it's just a solid bet. But with Bryson, he could miss the cut by 5 strokes, or he could go out and win this thing. But it's very hard for me to diagnose and put together a path where Bryson could have success here.
No, you're absolutely right. His range of outcomes are DFL or winning the tournament. Like literally, those are his range of outcomes. But the thing I'm seeing right now, I'm literally staring at my ownership projections, and it's staring me right at the face. It's saying 6.2%.
That's insane.
Bryson. Insane.
That is absolutely insane.
Absolutely insane. So I don't have to put him in that many lineups in my 150 build to get. He's not going to be in my any cash games. He's not going to be in my 1 to 3 max build or anything like that. But in my 150 build, he doesn't have to be in that many lineups to be triple the field. He just needs to be in like 20 of my lineups, 25 of my lineups. So I think I'm going to do it. I think I'm going to pivot and play some Bryson. I think if he burns me, so what? I have 20 dead lineups. If he comes out on Thursday and shoots 5 over, it is what it is. He's obviously going through a caddy change right now, so we don't know exactly if that's going to be a benefit for him or not. So we'll see. The thing also I don't like about Bryson is that I don't think he's a really good wind player. And if the winds pick up here a little bit, I think he struggles in the wind. But if he finds a par 4 where it's downwind and he can pull out the big club and try to drive the green, that puts him at an advantage. So I don't know. Can he throttle it down and instead of hitting driver, hit like an iron off the tee and still have a wedge in to give him a better chance of birdie? Who knows? But he can definitely win the tournament. He can definitely finish last. But I'm going to be playing some Bryson. I'm going to be a little over the weight, double the field probably on him. Probably like 12 to 15% is probably what I'm thinking. So we'll see. We'll see if he burns me.
Yeah, the only thing that really scares me about Bryson is the point that you brought up, the fact that he has that length, that advantage. He's been very, very pedestrian with wedges and around the green. And even the best iron players and approach guys in the world are going to struggle to hit greens in this weather and have balls hold on greens because they are so fast and so firm. So I worry about his ability to get around a golf course where he could have 50, 60, 30 yards trying to pitch something close and keep a ball on the green. So again, you can kind of build all the speculation into your argument you want, but I agree with you. I think Bryson's a great pivot play. And if he wins and you've got him in, to your point, 12 to 15% of your lineups, you're going to cash massively this week. But again, if he finishes dead last, hey, you throw it up in the wind and it's 12 to 15% of your lineups are dead and you move on.
Yeah. I do want to say one thing here with Bryson is that he can win, but I really would like to see him prove it to me once at an Open Championship.
Yeah,
overseas.
He hasn't done well at the Open. Absolutely.
Yeah, so he's won overseas before. He's won, I think, somewhere in Dubai or one of those Middle East. Yeah, Middle East. But that's not a link style course. So
no.
So we'll see.
Yeah, I mean, again, Bryson is one of those guys. I think it's a great way to gain some game theory and ownership advantage on the field, and I think you'd be smart to employ him if you're doing 20 or more lineups in the Millionaire Maker or in any one of the GPPs. It's a great way to diversify where your money is and change your lineups around. So I like Bryson this week as well. All right, let's drop down to the next tier. It's a pretty large tier, 8,900 to 7,600. But I think a lot of these guys are going to end up in lineups because you're going to need to be able to employ one of these guys in your lineup if you're using guys above $9,000. So at the top of the board, Patrick Cantlay, inarguably probably the chalkiest guy other than Spieth. Cantlay hasn't done fantastic at the Open, but he hasn't missed a cut. So if you're looking for make the cut equity, Cantlay is a guy that you can look at. But let's just rattle these guys off: Reed, Casey, Zalatoris, Finau, Webb Simpson, Scheffler, Adam Scott, Tommy Fleetwood, all the guys above $8,000, all guys that have massive make the cut equity, the potential to win. I mean, it's you look at that list of guys, and those are guys that everybody puts in every one of their lineups because it's about as solid a bet for making the cut and having a chance down the stretch of the tournament as you can get. The only guy that you can probably say is somewhat new to that field would be Will Zalatoris, but it's inarguable how well he's done at major championships this year as basically a rookie on the PGA Tour.
Yeah, absolutely. You want to get into this range?
Yeah, man, let's hear about it. Give me the guys you like here, and let me know if there's anybody that you're absolutely staying away from that you're going to fade this week.
Okay. So for me, I'm going to start at the top with Cantlay. I think he's mispriced. he shouldn't be 8,900 in this field. I think he should
be like 95, 96, something like
absolutely.
that.
I think he's actually really good value. He should be, if he was priced at 9,500, no one would bat an eye at that. Like, he's one of the best players in the world. So obviously he's coming off of a win at Memorial, which was really a second place, but whatever. He's still playing good.
John Ross had something to say about that.
Yeah, but he had a tough stretch earlier around the Players Championship where he had like 4 straight bad tournaments. I don't know. There was some rumors that his girlfriend dumped him or something like that, but maybe that was affecting his game. But he's back. He's playing at a world-class level again. He played really well. I can't remember what the tournament was before the Memorial, but he played good at the PGA. So yeah, I'm gonna play Cantlay. He's chalky, but the tough thing with Cantlay is that right next to him is Patrick Reed, and who's also chalky, and
yep.
You're gonna have to play one of those guys. You can't play both of them. They're both coming in at over 20% ownership, and between the guys, I'm gonna stick with Cantlay. I'll probably be underweight on Reed, even though I like him this week, but I'm gonna stick with Cantlay. Going down a little bit, I'm gonna fade Casey. I don't like him in the Open. I know you had talked about him on your betting show that he's a good bet. He is a good bet. I don't disagree with that. He could win, but I just don't like him at the Open. He doesn't play well. He's had one good finish, I think one top 15, and other than that, it's all been garbage. So I'm gonna fade Casey. I'm gonna play a little Scheffler. I like Scheffler this week. He played really well at the Scottish last week. Other than that, I have a soft spot for Tommy. He always makes my lineups. He's one of my FOMO guys. So
you got to win one though to have FOMO. Like,
I know.
It's like Finau's a FOMO guy for me. It's like, you got to win at some point for me to keep betting you and adding you to lineups. But anyways,
so yeah, I'll play some Tommy. He's coming in at single digit ownership, so I can have him in some lineups. I'm not worried about that. The guy that I'm confused about here is Tony Finau. He is like traditionally a free square at majors. He always finishes in the top 10, top 5. He's never won one, obviously, but he's always come in at, high ownership, but we're getting an ownership break on him this week. He's coming in at around 10, 11%. So, but the thing with him is that he's had some bad recent form. His golf game in the last couple months has been pretty bad. So I'm a little scared about that. He has a good track record in the Open. I think he has some top 10 finishes, but what do you think about Finau this week?
It's funny, when you play in major championships, you need to kind of lean on the things that are your best assets. And for Finau, it's always been off the tee. I mean, he smashes the ball off the tee. He has a wedge in his hand. He sticks things close. And it really, for the way that he's had success or not had success, has been he lives and dies by the putter. But for Finau, he just hasn't hit the ball well off the tee all year. He's been very, very erratic. And so that worries me at a place like this. Yeah. Even if he clubs down and hits irons off the tee, he has not been great with short irons and wedges in his hand either. So, I get it, why folks will be staying away from him. I mean, we're getting somewhat of a discount on his price. His betting odds are as low as I've ever seen them. When's the last time you could get Tony Finau at 50, 60 to 1 in a major? It just doesn't exist. So I think similar to Bryson, where the range of outcomes could be wide on Tony Finau this week, I think you're going to have to figure out whether or not the ownership benefit of having him on your team, where he could be 10%. And to your point, getting a free square if he plays like the Tony Finau that showed up in every one of the Open championships prior, I just don't know. I know that I will have him in my lineups. I'm just not sure how much. In normal years, I may have him in 30, 40, 50% of my lineups. I don't know if I can get there this year. He may be similar to Bryson, where he's in 15 to 20% of my lineups overall.
I agree. Now, the other couple guys that we didn't talk about in this range, I'm out on Rose. He sucks.
Don't even get me started on Rose. I don't even want to go down that road.
The guy has been just gaining strokes with his putter like nonstop, and I just can't play that. And then on the other spectrum of that is Will Z. The guy can't make a putt. He literally I think he made 0 birdies at the U.S. Open because he literally couldn't make the putt. But he's coming in at 4% ownership, and I'm staring at that. The guy is like a ball striking machine. He is one of the best ball strikers on the planet. I'm gonna have him in some lineups. I'm gonna be overweight on 4%, but like I said before, that's not much in my lineup. So I'll be overweight there. Who else do we? Adam Scott and Webb Simpson. Webb, I'm a little wishy-washy on. He seems like it's a good track for him, but is he hurt? I don't really know. Like he had a withdrawal a few weeks ago. His game
Not
just
been
seems a
playing
little bit.
well.
Yeah, he's just not been playing well. I'll probably be off of Webb. Adam Scott, he's one of those guys that he doesn't play that much. He plays like the big tournaments, and he doesn't play like regularly on the tour, but he can literally drop in and win a tournament at any point. So
Dude, you know what it's very similar to? It's the Louis factor. You see
yeah.
Louis like 3-4 times a year and he shows up and plays well. And Adam Scott has the same kind of game where he's just a ball striking phenomenon. I mean, he's got the most beautiful swing maybe in the history of the PGA Tour. And so if he gets the flat stick working, which has always been the kryptonite for that guy, if it works, you're absolutely right. Like I could see a scenario where Adam Scott goes out and wins this thing.
Yeah, and also this tournament owes him. Like
How many
should
calls?
Yeah, he should have two. You should literally have two clear judges.
Absolutely.
He gagged one away, and I think the other one he got beat by somebody. But this tournament owes him. I could see a top 10 finish from him. I could see him be there on Sunday, but I'm not going to be overweight of him. I'll probably be like right at the field. He's coming in I'm looking at like 9% right now, so I'll be there. I'll have some Adam Scott, but I'm definitely out on Rose. I'm out on Webb. I'll have some Zalatoris, but I'm also out on Casey. But I really like Cantlay. I like Reed, and I really like Scheffler too in this range.
So the next range right below that, let's pick one or two guys that you like or don't like. It's kind of that sub 8,000 from 8 to high 7s. So you've got everyone from Matthew Fitzpatrick to Abraham Answer in there. Give me a guy you like this week that's going to be in a good portion of your lineups, and give me a straight up fade from this group.
Absolutely. So I'll give you two guys that I like. Joaquin Niemann, number one. I know he's been struggling around the green, and you need to be able to chip at this course, but his ball flight is just perfect for this course. Like he has a really low piercing ball flight.
Built for this, yeah.
And in the wind, he can literally keep it under the wind, and I think he's due for a good week. He should have won the Rocket Mortgage a couple weeks ago. He literally didn't bogey a hole for 72 holes, and he had his first bogey on the 73rd hole in the playoff. But he should have had a win a couple weeks ago. But I really like Niemann. I also think I think Fitzpatrick is mispriced too. I think he should be in the 8s. I don't think he should be in 7,900. I feel like if this pricing came out after the Scottish Open, he would be in the 8K range.
No question.
But he should have won last week. He was in a playoff, and he was the best player in the playoff. He should have won. So I'm playing Fitzy. I'm playing Niemann. I never play Jason Day. I think he's garbage, so I'm not going to play him. But yeah, as far as an ownership fade here, I'm going to fade Answer. I don't like him in the Open. He's missed 2 cuts back-to-back years, back-to-back Opens, the last 2 tries. His game does seem like it fits well here, but he's coming in 13, 14, 15% almost ownership-wise. So I'm going to fade him. Direct pivot from Answer, you can play Sergio. I don't know what you think about Sergio. He's been absolutely atrocious in majors.
Yeah,
since he won
got
the
Masters curse, man.
Yeah.
Since he won the Masters, he just hasn't shown up. You're right. Like he's the original version of Joaquin Niemann, right?
Yeah.
Like all the things Joaquin does well, Sergio did well in his prime. He has not played any decent golf in a tournament of any consequence in, I don't know, 3 or 4 years. So it's really difficult for me to pay up when we get into the next tier. I think there's so many other options that provide the same kind of value and benefits, similar styles of game, and you can save yourself $400, $500, $600.
Yeah, you can't deny his ball striking this year. He's great off the tee, great ball striking, but he's low owned this week, so I could see him playing him a little bit this week. But his major track record since he won the Masters has been just so bad. And I'll also we didn't mention him, but I'll have a little bit of Shane Lowry. He's been playing really well this year. Yep. He's defending champion. I'm not going to be overweight on him just because it's tough to defend, and I think the last time he won was in Ireland. It was like such a home victory for him that it was like
100%.
It was like a magical run. But I'll play a little bit of him. He's obviously a good I think he's won the Alfred Dunhill before too, but he's obviously a good links player. But yeah, I'll have a little Lowry, but yeah, that's for me in the top 7s. Let's get to my favorite range. My next favorite range is the bottom 7s.
Yeah, well, I mean, this is the largest range, and where we start to see a number of those well-known and not so well-known Euros kind of creep into the pricing. You've got Westwood, your favorite guy, at the top of the board at 7,500, all the way down to $7,000 with Victor Perez. There's a smattering of international guys, Euros, and what I would call U.S. PGA Tour pros who just have been playing like garbage this year, and Gary Woodland and Ricky Fowler. So there's a lot of names in this range. Give me two guys you like, and give me two guys that you think you're going to be absolutely out on this week.
All right, so my pick to win this week, Lee Westwood. He's at 7,500. He's coming in. Let me see. He's coming in at 8%. So I'm going to be triple, quadruple the field on him in GPP. So why do I like Lee Westwood so much this week? I don't know. I literally had a premonition about him like 8 months ago. I said Lee Westwood is going to win the British Open this year, and it might be that old guy narrative. Last time it was here, Darren Clark won. I just think it's his time. He literally won European Tour Player of the Year last year. He won the race to Dubai, so he's not like he's playing bad. He played really well at the Scottish Open last week. He kind of fell apart a little bit, but he was right there in the mix on Saturday. So I was actually kind of rooting for him not to win last week, because I was like, if he wins last week, he wasn't going to win this week.
We talked about that, right?
Yeah. So he's my pick to win. I'm going to be very overweight on him this week. I think it's his time. I think he's going to win, and he's going to raise a clear jug on Sunday. Other than that, we got to talk about Berger here. He's severely mispriced also. I don't know why he's 7,400. He's much better than that. He should be in the 8K range at least. I'm actually going to fade Berger this week. He's coming in pretty chalky. He's coming in a double-digit ownership. I don't like how he played last week at the John Deere. I don't even know why he played that tournament, but he made the cut, didn't do anything on the weekend, had to hop on a flight on Sunday, literally got to England on Monday, I guess, basically, and has to get acclimated to it. I just don't like going to Berger this week chalky, coming off a bad performance. I'm actually going to play Harris English here. I think he's really, really playing well and is in really good form. He's chalky. He's coming in also in double-digit ownership, but I'm going to eat the chalk with him. He's coming off a win. He won the Travelers, and he's been playing well all year. He had a couple bad events after he won the Tournament of Champions earlier this year, but I think he suits this track pretty well. And a guy that I am fading in this area, I already talked about Berger. I think I'm going to fade Kokrak too. I think he's a really terrible bunker player, and this course has a lot of bunkers that he can get into.
He's absolutely atrocious with a wedge in his hand around the greens. The guy is god awful. Yeah,
if he gets into a bunker off of a fairway bunker, he can literally make like a 10 on a hole, in my opinion. But I'm going to fade Kokrak. I'm going to fade Berger. I'm going to play a little Fowler, a little bit more FOMO for me. He's been one of my favorite players besides Tiger Woods like my whole life, so I'm going to play a little bit of him. He played well. He had a top 5 at the PGA when Phil won, so it's not like he's playing terrible. And I think if he was to ever win a major, it's going to be this tournament. I don't think he can win maybe the Masters because he has good track record there, but I don't think he can win a US Open. I don't think he can win a PGA, but I think a course like this where he can miss off the tee a little bit and still have irons in and play and putt really well, he can win. So I'm gonna play a little Fowler. Going down a little bit more, I'm not gonna play any of these guys. I might play a little Guido. I don't know if you guys know about him, but he's the Italian sensation. Yeah. Guido Migliozzi. I'm going to play a little bit of him. I don't like Brian Harman. I don't like Connors. These are guys that usually play on the PGA Tour. I don't really like their game here. I'll play a little Kaymer at 7,100. I like him this week. He's another one of those old man Euro guys that I could see potentially winning this week. And the last guy I like in this range is going to be Victor Perez. He's a good links player. He won the Alfred Dunhill last time. The last time they held it. So I'm going to play a little Victor. Who do you like in this range?
Yeah, there's a couple guys that I really like that you didn't mention. One would be Brendan Grace. Brendan Grace has been playing phenomenal this year. He is the quintessential win player. Look at the places where he's won on the PGA Tour and internationally. They're on coastal courses. They're places where wind and conditions are terrible. So I love Brendan Grace this week. The other guy I really like who has been in very good form as of late is Alex Noren. Noren's irons are back. The putter is starting to get better. He's not an absolute abortion off the tee like he was for the better part of a year. So Noren I like a lot this week. He's got really good history at the Open Championship. So those would be two guys I really like. The other guy, which is somewhat unpopular, but again, I'm leaning on past history at the British Open, is Cooch. You talk about old man game. You talk about somebody who's going to hit the ball into the middle of fairway, phenomenal with a wedge in his hand, unbelievable around the greens. That's Matt Kuchar to me. I realize he has not been the same player that he was prior. We talked about Finau being a free square. Kuchar was a free square for years in major championships. But could he get a taste of that? I'm not looking for Cooch to finish top 3, top 4. I'm just asking him to make the cut and finish inside the top 40. I think you get that at $7,000. The other guy you talked about mispriced, I think mispriced in the wrong direction is Henrik Stenson. I get his Open Championship history, but he has been terrible for 2 years now. I don't know what happened to Henrik Stenson. I don't know if this is a cyborg version of him, or he got in a car accident that we didn't know about, or he started smoking methamphetamines, but he's absolutely terrible. So I will not be playing any Henrik Stenson this week. I will stay away from it. I'm not going to lie. I did place some top 20 bets just in case because the odds were so unbelievable. Yeah. But he won't be in any of my DraftKings lineups.
Yeah, I'm not playing any Henrik Stenson. He's terrible. Ever since COVID happened, he just literally doesn't know how to play golf. So I don't know exactly what happened.
Yeah, I don't know what happened to him, but his life fell apart on the golf course.
One guy we didn't talk about in this range is Russell Henley. He was obviously in the last group at the on Sunday at the U.S. Open, faded obviously, but I think this track suits him. I think he is a good iron player. He's been one of the best iron players on tour the last year, so I can play a little Russell Henley. Other than that, I really don't. I see the Kuchar thing. He has good track record at Open, so I could see that. But I don't really like anyone else here. Grace. Oh yeah. One thing about Grace is that he's coming in chalky. He's coming in at like 12 double-digit ownership right now. But you're right. If the winds do pick up, Grace is the guy. I could see him being in contention on Sunday if the winds pick up.
Just like Lowry, right? In the prior tier, like if the conditions get ratcheted up, that's Fitz, that's Lowry, that's Grace, that's Hatton, that's Reed. Those kinds of guys are going to kind of rise to the top.
Yep.
All right, so let's drop down to the next tier. The guys sub $7,000. We range from Rafa, Cabrera Bello, all the way down to Taylor Gooch at $6,600. Again, for me and DraftKings this week, I won't be in this tier very much. And from the ownership projections, I don't think a lot of people are going to be down in this area. There are a few guys that people are gravitating to. Lucas Herbert, after he won the Irish Open and then finished T3, T4, whatever he was at the Scottish last week. You've got Richard Bland, who is a name people know because of the story, him winning on the European Tour here recently. You've got Stu Cink. Old man narrative, won twice on tour, playing his best golf, arguably in his career. And then Charlie Hoffman, right? Charlie Hoffman was a guy that we all thought was going to win here over the last 3 or 4 weeks. But give me a couple guys you like in this range and a couple guys you are absolutely going to stay away from.
All right. So in the 6K range, you already mentioned him. My number one play in the 6K range, and he's going to be in a lot of my lineups, is going to be Richard Bland. I'm gonna go with that old man narrative. I know a lot of guys don't know who he is. He was a 36-hole leader at the U.S. Open, and he played really well. Right before he won his first tournament on the Euro Tour. He actually beat Guido in a playoff, which killed me because I had a Guido ticket. But he's been playing lights out ever since he played well at the U.S. Open. He's been doing well. He played last week. Also, he played really good at the Scottish Open. But he's coming in like no ownership. I don't even know what he's at. Let me see here. He's coming in at 0.7% ownership. I'm gonna play. Crazy. Yeah, I'm gonna play Richard Bland, and he's gonna be in like 10%, 10 to 15% of my lineups. The other guy we need to talk about here, and he's going to be probably the chalkiest guy in the territory, is going to be Sam Burns. He's priced at 6,300, which is weird because he doesn't belong at 6,300. The guys around him are like Darren Clark and Ernie Els and players that are just not in his caliber.
A bunch of amateurs that are in the field or Sunshine Tour players.
Yeah, exactly. And the thing about Burns is that even though he's mispriced like I think Berger is and Fitzy is and Cantlay is, the difference between Burns is that he's all the way down at 6,300, which opens up your lineup to pretty much anything you want to do. He's coming in a little chalky, yes, but I'm going to say that I'm going to be overweight on Burns here. He might miss the cut. It's probably a coin flip for him to miss the cut, but if he makes the cut, all you need him to do is make the cut, and he pays off his price tag. But if you play him, you can literally make lineups with Rahm and Xander in the same lineup if you want to, and then still have money left over to play other guys that you want. But yeah, I'm going to be overweight on Burns. I'm going to be overweight on Bland. A couple other guys I like here. You mentioned Hoffman. I have a soft spot for him. I like Charlie. He's a good player. Ryan Palmer. He's at 6,900, I think.
Played great last week.
Yeah, played great last week. The thing with him is that he always plays well when Rahm plays well. So if you think Rahm's going to play well, make some Rahm Palmer lineups together. They always go well together. Lucas Herbert, he's unbelievable form right now. He won a few weeks ago. Then he played well at the Scottish. Also, he's just been on fire recently. He almost won the Scottish too. And then one guy that no one's really talking about, and we haven't talked about him for a while, and not many people know him. I'm gonna throw a name out to you. Do you know who John Catlin is?
Yeah, I remember Catlin a couple of years ago. He was on fire on the European tour.
Yeah, so no, it wasn't a couple years ago. It was literally this year. So he's won.
You know, with COVID, everything feels like it was 6 years ago.
So he's won 3 times on the Euro Tour this last year. He's an American who plays really well on the Euro Tour. He has very good links experience. He's coming in at no ownership whatsoever. I'm going to play some John Catlin, probably in like 5 to 10% of my lineups, which is going to be like quadruple the field. So he's going to be in some of my lineups. Couple other names here. Tringali, good ball striker. He's been a ball striking machine all year. I'm going to play a little bit of him. I'm not going to play any Keegan. I've been hearing his name talked up this week. I can't play any Keegan. He's just literally the worst putter in the world, so I'm not going to play him. Lucas Glover, coming off of a win last week, is a little interesting. His ownership might be up a little bit because people saw him win last week, but this course seems like it's pretty good for him. I also have a soft spot for him because he was in my big GPP lineup from a few months ago. And then just a couple darts I'm going to throw out there. Chan Kim, he's a Asian player. He's been playing well at majors and WGCs. Johannes Veerman, he's an American on the Euro Tour. He's been playing well recently. Dean Burmester, he's 6,100. Just a couple darts you can throw at the bottom of your lineups. You don't have to have them in many lineups. And then one last guy, just because he literally has the same name as me, Rikuya Hoshino. He's my guy. His name's Riku. He's literally like the same name as me. But
you got to have him in these 2 or 3 lineups.
Yeah. He's representing Japan at the Olympics with Hideki in a couple weeks. So he's good. He's won a couple times on the Asian Tour. So I'm gonna play him. Other than that, really just in this range, you just pick the guys that you like just to round out your lineups. Like you said, you don't have to go down here, but this is the area of the field where it's probably going to win you a GPP contest if you can go overweight on a guy and who does well. My guy is going to be Richard Bland and Sam Burns in this range, so we'll see. But yeah, you got any other guys down here?
You know, Ryan Fox is a name. He's a guy that's shown up in majors time and time again. He's a bomber of a ball, plays on the European Tour, good with a wedge in his hand. So I could see a scenario where I may mix Fox in just to get some leverage away from a guy like Sam Burns.
He's a really good links player too.
Absolutely. The other guy that we didn't talk about, but if you're going to play Spieth, you've got to play Spieth 0.50, and that is Mackenzie Hughes,
Matt
right?
Hughes.
If you're looking for a guy who can hit 50-foot putts, hit insane shots out of bunkers, Mac Hughes is that guy. We saw him do it at the U.S. Open at Torrey Pines this year. And so Mac Hughes is another guy. Again, I don't think you need to be overweight in him, but if you've got 20 lineups and you've got him in 1 or 2 of those lineups, you're going to be way overweight versus what the field is.
Yeah, I'm seeing him at 1.2%.
Yeah, so he's the guy. The other guy that I really like, sub $7,000, a little bit higher up the board, is Kevin Kisner. Kisner's a guy who has played well in the Open. You talk about all of the characteristics and the type of player that you would like to have in these link style courses with wind and weather. And that's Kiz. Kiz has been playing much better off the tee. He's good with irons in his hands. He's great with the putter, good with wedges. So Kiz is another guy. I think if I'm going to be overweight on a guy sub $7,000, I think Kiz is probably one that I'll lean on pretty heavily going into this tournament.
Yeah, I'm out on Kisner. I know you you like him, but his ownership's coming in too high. He's the chalkiest guy in the upper sixes. He's coming at like 8-9%. I can't play at 8-9% Kevin Kisner. I never really play Kisner anyway. I really don't think he is that good of a golfer. But I mean, he's good on like short, like technical tracks. But I don't know. I'm out on Kisner. I'd rather play Sink right above him.
Yeah, well, I think if you're leaning on too many guys, right? If you've got 20 lineups like we talked about, you should have 1 or 2 of these guys in each one of those lineups. If you've got a guy down sub $7,000 in 5, 6, 7, 10 of your lineups, you're in absolute trouble, because if that guy blows up, it's going to grenade 50% of your lineups. So being diverse, not necessarily taking stands, of kind of taking the pray and spray method down here below $7,000 is beneficial. And to your point, you don't need that guy to win the tournament. You just need him to show up. If he finishes top 25, top 10, I mean, that could be the difference between you cashing $1 million or $1,000, right? In the middle maker. So being a little diverse down here and understanding, what the risk is in the plays, I think is important. But not being overweight in one guy or another is extremely, extremely important when you get below $7,000.
Yeah, and in all honesty, if you're fading the 10K and above guys and you're starting your lineup with like Spieth or something like that, you don't have to go down here. You can just end your lineup with like Berger at 7,400 or something like that, and be perfectly fine. So if you want to get a little frisky and start your lineups like, I don't know, like Rom and DJ or something like that, then obviously you have to drop down to the 6K range. But I mean, I told you the guys I like, and the rest is up to you guys. Someone won $1 million out there.
That's right. Hopefully it's somebody who's watching the show tonight. Like we talked about earlier, like and subscribe, comment on the episodes, shoot us an email, again, dfsjags@gmail.com, or follow us on Twitter, dfsjags, @dfsjags on the Twitter box. And we'd be happy to share any information we talked about tonight. Rick, I think that's pretty much going to do it for us. Wrap us up.
Before we go, you want me to give you my bets this week, or you want me?
Absolutely, man. Let's do it. You share yours, and I'll give you mine.
All right, cool. I like Spieth at 20-1, Reed at 30-1, Cantlay at 30-1, and then I have a big unit on Westwood at 60-1. And then a couple bombs for me, Hoffman at 100-1, Kaymer at 140-1, Richard Bland at 250-1, and John Catlin at 400-1. And I have a little FOMO on Fleetwood and Fowler. That's it.
Yeah, the Catlin pick, based off of the data and information that you shared with us, I'm going to have to go get on John Catlin.
Yeah,
the win Euro Tour.
The guy knows how to win, and even though he's probably going to miss the cut or whatever, if he's in contention, he knows how to close a tournament. And at 400-1, that's a pretty sick number.
Absolutely. So I'll be in on Catlin. My bets this week, I'm in on Spieth. I got him at 20-1. I'm in on Fitzpatrick at 40-1, Westwood at 60-1, Grace at 60-1, Niemann at 75, and then my boy Bez at 80-1. I'm in on that. I've got a couple larger bets over 100. In on Kaymer, in on Willet, in on Wiesberger, Lucas Herbert at 100-1. Wallace and Kisner both at, I think, 150 apiece. So those are my bets this week. Like I said, I couldn't stay away from your boy Westwood after you sold me on, this premonition that you had.
He's going to win.
Yeah, so I'm all in on Westwood, and I probably have my biggest nugget on him this week in terms of how much money I'll be investing. I'll be right there with you. All right, Rick. Well, that's going to do it for us tonight. I appreciate your time and all the insights and information. Again, share with the kids at home where they can reach you on social media.
Yep. Hit me up on Twitter at Riku Mukherjee, spelled RIKU MUKHERJEE. Hit me up.
Absolutely. Like we talked about, subscribe, comment, shoot us an email, DM us on Twitter. We'd love to talk to you. Thanks again, everybody. Good luck. Win some money this week. Somebody get out there and win $1 million and then send us a message so we know we're doing good for the people. I appreciate it. Everybody, have a good night. Rick, thanks again, man.
Thanks, man.